Crucifixion was a horrific practice. It was both an execution and torture. The goal wasn't just to end the life of a person, but to end it in a public way that would maximize both the suffering of the one being punished and the message of that suffering. Do the same as this one has done, and this is likely to happen to you too. Well, at least if you were poor or a slave, or the worst kind of criminal. After whatever kind of lashing or mutilation the individual might have received, they would be made to carry a cross to a place of high visibility and traffic. Then nails the size of railroad spikes were used to suspend the body on a post, an X or a T-shaped crucifix. As the primary means of holding the weight of a body was then the bones of the wrist, the person being crucified would find themselves faced with the choice of either using their strength to drag their whip-torn back up the body of the post, which would allow their lungs to be open enough to take a significant breath, or to face asphyxiation over the course of hours or days. Without getting any more into the graphic nature of this ancient form of execution and torture, I simply want to say this: the physical agony of the cross, though not unique to Jesus, is all the more magnified by the peace and calm that comes after it in the gospel narratives. We're told about a man named Joseph, a wealthy man who, along with Nicodemus, Mary Magdalene, and Mary, the mother of Joseph, observe and participate in the burial of Jesus. His body is covered in aloes and myrrh for scent and purification purposes, and it's placed in a newly cut tomb, unused by anyone else. His linen-wrapped body is part of the sign of respect for Jesus on the part of his disciples, and it was unusual for anyone who had been crucified to be buried in this way, as they were typically left on the cross after they had died. Here's the good news. Even in his death, Jesus magnificently defied the common practice. The quiet, respectful arrangement of his burial is not what you would see typically afforded someone who had been crucified. But those who had grown to love Jesus saw to it that their friend, their teacher, was buried with compassion. These were in many ways the first shades of how Jesus' resurrection would be a triumph over not death alone, but also the powers and systems of this world, the injustices of governments, the cruelty of mankind. Those are overcome by Christ. Even in death, Jesus begins to set right the brokenness of this world. I love you, and I pray today that you would know that Jesus came not just to give you everlasting life, but that he came to make right that which has been made wrong. And I pray that you would partner with him in this work.